The rain was coming down in sheets as I drove home from the office, the wipers of my old Volvo working overtime. I am Kellan, 44, and I work as a software architect in Seattle. It's a demanding job, but I usually find it rewarding. Tonight, though, I felt a knot of unease in my stomach. It had been building for weeks, a subtle shift in my marriage that I couldn't quite put my finger on. My wife, Willow, and I had been together for 15 years, married for 12. We met at a coffee shop downtown, both reaching for the same sugar packet. It sounds click, but it felt like fate. Willow was, and still is, beautiful with her fiery red hair and eyes that could change from green to hazel depending on the light. She worked as a freelance graphic designer, a creative soul to my analytical mind. We balanced each other well, or so I thought. As I pulled into the driveway of our craftsman-style house in the suburbs, I noticed Willow's car wasn't there. No big deal, I thought. She probably had a late meeting with a client. I unlocked the front door, the familiar scent of lavender and cinnamon greeting me. "Willow, I am home," I called out, but only silence answered. I shrugged it off and headed to the kitchen to make myself a quick dinner. I opened the refrigerator, scanning the contents. That's when I saw it, a small, folded piece of paper taped to a carton of eggs. Curiosity piqued, I peeled it off and unfolded it. The note was short and to the point. "Gone to visit my sister in Portland. Be back in a few days. Love, Willow, Portland." Willow hadn't mentioned anything about visiting her sister. Her sister, Juniper, lived in a cramped apartment and worked as a barista. Willow rarely visited her, claiming Juniper's lifestyle made her uncomfortable. The last time they spoke, they had a fight about Willow's boring suburban life. The knot in my stomach tightened. Something felt terribly wrong. I pulled out my phone and dialed Juniper's number. It rang and rang, eventually going to voicemail. "Hey Juniper, it's Kellan, just calling to see how you're doing. Willow mentioned she was coming to visit you. Give me a call when you get a chance." I left the message, my mind racing. I tried to dismiss my worries. Maybe Willow just needed a break, a spontaneous getaway. But the unease persisted. After a restless night, I woke up early and decided to go through Willow's desk. I know it sounds terrible invading her privacy like that, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Her desk was a chaotic mess of papers, pens, and half-finished design projects. I started sifting through the documents, searching for anything that might explain her sudden trip to Portland. I found bills, sketches, and a stack of old photographs. Nothing out of the ordinary. Just as I was about to give up, I noticed a small, unmarked USB drive tucked away in a corner. I picked it up, my heart pounding in my chest. I walked over to my computer and plugged in the drive. A folder labeled Personal appeared. I clicked on it and a list of files popped up, mostly images and documents. I started opening the images one by one. The first few were innocuous pictures of Willow and me on vacation, snapshots from our wedding, images of our cat, Jasper. Then I came across one that stopped me dead in my tracks. It was a picture of Willow, but not as I knew her. She was in a dimly lit bar, laughing and leaning close to a man I didn't recognize. His arm was wrapped around her waist, and they were looking at each other with an intimacy that made my blood run cold. I clicked on the next image and then the next. Each one was more damning than the last. Pictures of them holding hands, kissing, even one of them entering a hotel room. The man in the pictures was tall and handsome, with a chiseled jaw and piercing blue eyes. He looked vaguely familiar, but I couldn't place him. I scrolled through the remaining files, my hands shaking. There were emails, text messages, and even a scanned copy of a handwritten letter, all confirming my worst fears. Willow was having an affair. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. My vision blurred and I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I stumbled back from the computer, collapsing into a nearby chair. The room spun around me and I struggled to catch my breath. How could this be happening? How could Willow, the woman I loved and trusted more than anyone else in the world, betray me like this? I spent the next few hours in a daze, replaying the images and messages in my mind. I tried to make sense of it, to find some explanation for her actions, but there was none. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. As the initial shock began to wear off, anger started to bubble up inside me. A burning, white-hot rage that threatened to consume me. I wanted to confront Willow, to scream at her, to demand answers, but I knew that wouldn't solve anything. I needed to stay calm to think clearly. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to regain control of my emotions. I decided to call my best friend Corbin. Corbin and I had been friends since grade school. He was a lawyer, sharp as a tack and always ready with a sarcastic quip. But beneath his tough exterior, he had a good heart. I knew I could trust him to give me honest advice. I dialed Corbin's number and he answered on the second ring. "Kellan, what's up, man?" My voice cracked as I spoke. "Corbin, I need your help. Willow's been cheating on me." There was a moment of silence on the other end of the line. Then Corbin said, "What? Are you sure? I found pictures, emails, everything. It's undeniable. Damn, Kellan, I am so sorry. What do you want to do?" "I don't know," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm still trying to process everything. But I need to figure out what my options are. Can you meet me for lunch tomorrow?" "Of course, man. Name the place." "And Kellan, yeah, don't do anything rash. Just breathe. We'll figure this out together." I hung up the phone, feeling a little bit better knowing that I wasn't alone. I spent the rest of the day trying to distract myself, but it was no use. The images of Willow with the other man kept flashing through my mind, each one a fresh stab to the heart. The next day I met Corbin at a small Italian restaurant downtown. We ordered lunch, but neither of us had much of an appetite. I laid out all the evidence I had found on the USB drive, and Corbin examined it carefully. "This is pretty damning," he said, shaking his head. "You definitely have grounds for divorce, and depending on the circumstances, you might be able to get a favorable settlement." "I don't care about the money," I said. "I just want to know why." "Why did she do this?" "I can't answer that, Kellan, but I can help you protect yourself. You need to start thinking about your assets, your finances. Make sure everything is in order. I don't even know where to start. I can recommend a good forensic accountant. He can help you track down any hidden assets or accounts. It's possible Willow has been siphoning money off for her affair." The thought made me sick. "Okay," I said. "Let's do it." Corbin made a few calls, and by the end of the afternoon, I had an appointment with the accountant for the following week. In the meantime, I decided to hire a private investigator. I wanted to know everything about the man Willow was having an affair with. His name, his background, his intentions. Corbin recommended a pie he had worked with on several cases. His name was Silas, and he was a gruff, no-nonsense kind of guy. I met with him in his dimly lit office, filled with dusty files and surveillance equipment. I told Silas everything I knew about Willow's affair, showing him the pictures and emails I had found. He listened intently, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. "I'll see what I can dig up," Silas said. "Give me a few days. And Mr. Kellan, yes, try not to get your hopes up. Affairs are messy, and they rarely have happy endings." I left Silas' office feeling a mix of hope and dread. I wanted to know the truth, but I was also afraid of what I might find. The next few days were agonizing. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, I could barely function at work. I spent hours staring at the walls, replaying memories of Willow and me in my head. Were they all a lie? Had she been pretending to love me all these years? Finally, Silas called me. "I've got something for you," he said. "Can you meet me at my office tomorrow morning?" I arrived at Silas' office at 9:00 a.m. He was waiting for me, a thick file sitting on his desk. "I did some digging," Silas said, "and I think you're going to want to see this." He opened the file and handed me a stack of documents. I started reading, my eyes widening in disbelief. The man Willow was having an affair with was named Lysander. He was a local architect, known for his modern, minimalist designs. He was also married with 2 young children, but that wasn't the worst part. As I continued reading, I discovered that Lysander had a reputation for preying on vulnerable women. He had a history of affairs, each one ending with the woman getting hurt and him walking away unscathed. "He's a predator," Silas said. "He targets women who are going through a difficult time, women who are feeling insecure or unloved. He charms them, seduces them, and then dumps them when he gets bored." I felt a surge of anger not just at Willow but at Lysander. He was a manipulative, heartless bastard, and he was using Willow for his own selfish pleasure. "I want to confront him," I said, my voice trembling with rage. "I want to tell him what I think of him." "I wouldn't advise that, Mr. Kellan," Silas said. "He's not worth it, and you don't want to do anything that could jeopardize your divorce case." I knew Silas was right, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to do something. I needed to protect Willow, even if she didn't deserve it. I spent the next few days wrestling with my emotions. I was torn between wanting to confront Lysander and wanting to protect Willow. Finally, I decided to do something that would accomplish both goals. I contacted Lysander's wife, Guinevere. I knew it was a risky move, but I felt like she deserved to know the truth about her husband. I found Guinevere's number online and called her. My hands were sweating as I waited for her to answer. "Hello," she said, her voice hesitant. "Guinevere, my name is Kellan. I am Willow's husband." There was a long pause on the other end of the line. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice cold. "I know about the affair between Willow and Lysander," I said, "and I think you deserve to know the truth about your husband." "I already know," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "I've suspected something for a while now. I have proof," I said. "Pictures, emails, everything. I can show you." "I don't need to see it," she said. "I believe you. What do you want from me?" "I just want you to know that you're not alone," I said. "And I want you to know that Lysander is not who you think he is. He's a manipulative, selfish man who preys on vulnerable women." There was another long pause. Then Guinevere said, "Thank you, Kellan, for telling me the truth." I hung up the phone, feeling a sense of relief wash over me. I had done what I could to protect Guinevere and Willow. Now it was up to them to decide what to do next. A few days later, I received a call from Willow. I hesitated before answering, my heart pounding in my chest. "Hello," I said, my voice trembling. "Kellan, I need to talk to you," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I know," I said. "I know everything." "How?" she asked, her voice barely audible. "It doesn't matter," I said. "What matters is that it's over. I want a divorce." "I understand," she said, her voice filled with regret. We met at a coffee shop near our house, the same coffee shop where we had first met. It felt surreal, like we were living in a movie. Willow looked pale and drawn, her eyes red and puffy. "I'm so sorry, Kellan," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I never meant to hurt you." "Why, Willow?" I asked, my voice filled with pain. "Why did you do it?" "I don't know," she said. "I was feeling lost, insecure. Lysander made me feel wanted, desired. It was stupid, I know, and I regret it more than anything." "Did you love him?" I asked, the question tearing at my soul. Willow hesitated for a moment. "I thought I did," she said, "but it wasn't real. It was just a fantasy." I looked at her, my heart aching with sadness. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. "I can't forgive you, Willow," I said. "I just can't." "I understand," she said, her tears flowing freely. "I don't expect you to." We sat in silence for a few minutes, the weight of our broken marriage hanging heavy in the air. Then Willow stood up. "I should go," she said. "I have a flight back to Portland." "Portland?" I asked, confused. "Yes," she said. "I'm moving back in with my sister. I need to get away from here, to start over." I watched as she walked away, her figure disappearing into the crowd. A part of me wanted to run after her, to beg her to stay, but I knew it was over. Our marriage was dead, and there was no bringing it back to life. The divorce was finalized a few months later. It was a painful process, but Corbin and the accountant helped me navigate it with as little stress as possible. I ended up getting a fair settlement, but the money didn't matter. What mattered was that I was free. I moved out of our house and into a small apartment downtown. I started focusing on my work, throwing myself into my projects. I also started seeing a therapist who helped me process my emotions and rebuild my self-esteem. It wasn't easy. There were days when I felt like I would never be happy again. But slowly, gradually, I started to heal. One day I received a call from Guinevere. "Kellan, I wanted to thank you again for telling me the truth about Lysander," she said. "I left him. I couldn't stay with him after what he did." "I'm glad you did," I said. "You deserve better." "I was wondering if you'd like to meet for coffee," she said. "I know it's a strange request, but I feel like we have a lot in common." I hesitated for a moment. Then I said, "I'd like that very much." Guinevere and I met for coffee the following week. We talked for hours, sharing our stories of betrayal and heartbreak. We discovered that we had a lot in common, not just our shared experience with Lysander, but also our love of art, music, and hiking. Over the next few months, Guinevere and I grew closer. We started spending more and more time together, exploring the city, going to concerts, and hiking in the mountains. I found myself falling in love with her. She was kind, intelligent, and compassionate. She understood what I had been through because she had been through it too. One sunny afternoon, as we were hiking in the Cascade Mountains, I stopped and turned to Guinevere. "I love you," I said, my voice filled with emotion. I never thought I would be able to love again, but you've shown me that it's possible. Guinevere smiled, her eyes sparkling in the sunlight. I love you too, Kellan, she said. And I am so grateful that we found each other. We embraced, the mountains towering around us. I felt a sense of peace and happiness that I hadn't felt in a long time. I had lost everything, but I had also gained something new, something precious. Life is full of surprises, both good and bad. Sometimes the worst things that happen to us can lead us to the best things. I never would have imagined that my wife's affair would lead me to find true love. But it did. And for that, I am eternally grateful.